Elephant Room TV. I am Mike Truth, the Nomad, aka Boogie McCab. Today you can call me Mike Truth. And usually I would be joined by my lovely co-host, Miss Ellie Wade. She is not here with us right now. She might be joining in later on during the conversation because she has traveled. But we are nevertheless going to have an awesome conversation and a much needed conversation today. And it's going along with our series for the month, and it's in regards of black femininity. I can't even say that word properly, but it's like the whole point of this month is to bring more awareness to the experiences of various black women and what it means to be a black woman. And so we touched on different topics. Started off with Jordan Woods and how black women support each other. Then we touched on the exploitation of black women in the media, and then we had a very epic conversation between like ourselves, which was like a very needed conversation like 2 weeks ago, and today and we did the dissecting of these few conversations. Today we are just going to dissect the stereotype of the angry black woman and what it is. So today we have two beautiful black women with us, Miss Shannon and Miss Tracy J. Hello,
Hey,
ladies. How y'all doing today?
good. How are you?
Good.
And I'm doing my LA Wade impersonation.
I'm gonna tell on you. Oh, well, it's recorded, so she's gonna see. So it's like thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And today, like the whole point of this conversation is to better understand as well what your experiences are individually, and also what you feel communally as well. So I'm going to start off with Shannon, the angry black woman stereotype. Is this a myth or is this something that's true?
I guess that has many answers. It's a stereotype, and it makes it true for some individuals. I try to avoid it though. I don't like following stereotypes.
Okay. Miss Tracy J, would you like to share your viewpoint on that?
I think it's true, but I think a lot of the anger comes because of the black man.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Shots fired. Shots
fired. Going straight for so when you say because of the black man, like, would you mind just sharing a bit of your experiences? Like, why do you say because of the black man? What have we done to you?
You want me to share my experience? That's why. Do he really want me to share my experience?
It's about to get hot in here. I mean, you do it, girl. I'm here for it. I support you.
Yes, please. So
I support you.
Let's bring it all out.
Well, my experience is that because it's okay. I was married 30 years, got divorced. I got divorced because my multiple affairs, and then the last affair being with one of my closest friends. And then since dating, it's just men, for me, they just want to play games, and I just don't have time for it. And I'm a very nice person. I'm very welcoming, but I can honestly say when it comes to men, I have a whole different tolerance because of my experiences with the black, and I date black. I haven't dated at all, and I date black, but it's different thing going on, and it makes me angry because of the simple fact that I don't think, and it could be women too, but I don't date women. I don't think men are really ready to be honest about where they are, how they feel, and what they want. You know, I don't find that men have really been honest. So it has kind of turned me, you know, to where I'm rougher on men now, but it's because of my experiences with men.
And I'm the opposite. I was never married. However, my issues with men stem from my relationship with my father. And where everyone else hated him, I loved his dirty draws. You couldn't tell me nothing wrong about Vernon Jefferson. You couldn't talk about him in my presence. Not bad anyway, unless you want to get whooped on. Yes, as a child, I would fight behind my daddy. And that had tailored how I deal with men. Now, you might be a dirty dog. You might be trifling. You might be a cheat, like Tracy mentioned. But I'm not going to badmouth you. I try not to be angry behind the stupid stuff you may or may not do. However, things happen. So I have tried to run away from that ideal because I saw it play rampantly in my family in regards to my father, not just from my mother, but his family members, his aunts, his cousins, his sisters. The angry syndrome affects a lot of people in many different ways, and I refuse to be a part of that. Somebody's got to break the cycle. You ain't gonna label me as an angry Black woman.
No, like those are very interesting points, because I'm noticing as you ladies are, voicing, yes, like there is anger. Like you guys still have this, good composure about yourself. Like there's the light-hearted, aspect to it. You guys are not really expressing, I guess, quote unquote, what anger is supposed to look like, in my view. So it's like my question now is, so Tracy, why do you think the men are like that? Like why do you think there's this big, I guess, immaturity amongst men from your perspective?
I honestly don't know. I honestly do not know. And their issue could be from women. I don't know what a man could say it's us. I don't know. But I mean, I can't answer that question. And I don't. And I'm talking men in early 40s and up. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they just don't know really what they want, or if they're not really ready to be honest about what they want. Because they want what you want until it comes to them, and then, well, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. It's almost as if there is almost this expectation for men to show up in a certain way, and when they don't, then basically that triggers like this anger. Like if I can.
No. It's that men show up in a certain way, and then they don't hold that to their word to what they say. Because I'm open. I if got flaws and all, I can deal with that as long as you're honest about those flaws. But don't say you're one thing, then turn out to be something else, or present me something else. Don't say you want this in a relationship and you're going to do this, but then at the end of when it comes down to putting your words into action, now you flipping the script on me. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe it's the fear of just being honest and being real. I can tell somebody, look, now that we started dating, it's not going to work with us. I'm honest enough to say that. But some men will just go along with the flow because it's benefiting them, and they're honest about what's really going on with them. And then now you have the cheating, and you got all this other stuff going on because you were never just really honest enough to sit down and say, this is not what I want anymore, or have I grown this, or I'm moving on. I just don't. I mean, I think if it was just a little be more honest, we wouldn't be so angry.
Wow.
It's
just went on mute. No, like Kinsey just went on mute.
Don't come for me to say what you want.
So like, I guess then it is safe to say that it's not truly a myth or like unfounded stereotype to say that Black women are angry. Well, not all, I should say, not to generalize, but so then why is it that oftentimes when that stereotype is mentioned, it seems to really cause a big uproar, like amongst many Black women?
But why does any stereotype cause an uproar? Men are dogs, Black men are thugs, preachers' kids are promiscuous, hairdressers' kids don't get their hair did. Why? They're all derogatory. That's why it causes such an uproar. It affects so many people on so many different levels. And then when other people see you who the stereotype doesn't apply to, they think it's a catch-all for every person that stereotype is geared towards. Right. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of people that will get in their feelings about it because people have already taken this assumption to fact for every single person that it applies to. So they see a Black woman and they automatically assume, oh, she's angry. What? Because she's not smiling? She might be trying to not pass gas in public. Who knows?
And also, I think that because it doesn't pertain to all women, it is generalized. It's like all Black women. But on the other hand, I think some women get offended because it's the truth about them and they don't want to admit it. I admit that I was angry, and well, I don't think I'm as angry as I was in the beginning, but I'll admit I was angry when everything happened. And in the beginning, I was very, very angry. I was softened up a lot now, but I mean, as I date, this seems to be a trend, and maybe it's me. Could be just me. I just maybe draw them kind of people. But I think another on the other side, it's true for some women, and they just don't want to admit it, so they get angry. You know, you back a
That
cat
part.
into a corner, they gonna scratch. So a lot of times, people get angry because they know you're talking about them.
A herd dog will holler every time.
Every time.
No, like I agree with that, because I think there seems to be this I guess lack of self accountability in a sense, and like I really enjoy your perspective, Tracy, when you said you've come to a point where you realize that you don't basically like either want to date anymore, even though like it is sad. It's almost as if you are aware of a certain pattern that's going on, and you're deciding to stop that pattern by not engaging with men that are going to basically further like cause you hurt from like what I'm understanding. And I wonder like,
No, I
so
didn't
like,
say I'm going to stop dating now. I ain't gonna stop
okay,
dating.
okay.
I'm getting married one day, but I'm very no nonsense. You know, I'm like to the point now to where on the first date I'm asking questions, and if we not there, we not there. I'm not wasting no more time and putting my heart out there on a string no more if I don't feel like, and it may get broke, but at least I'm gonna be more cautious. But I was so open and so not realizing what was out there after being in a relationship from the age of 14 to the age of 50, 30 years. I
Mm,
I didn't know how to date. I didn't know what it was about. So now that I'm learning, I'm taking a step back and trying to really focus on myself, get myself aligned with God and my heart right and all of that stuff before I even receive anybody back into my life. So I'm not saying I'm not gonna date. Eventually I'm gonna get back out there. I just think I need to work on me and myself so I won't bring that angry woman into another relationship.
mm,
Mm,
mm, mm,
that's good.
And so like let me ask Shannon, because like right now you're not in a relationship, and
No, sir.
I was just wondering, like, for you, what does the ideal relationship look like? And because I think
Find that book I wrote so I can tell you what it looks like.
Mhm.
Um, well, I mean, the first thing is probably an effective communicator and an active listener, and some trust and understanding. I mean, those are the foundations for me. I think everything else could work itself out if it was founded on those things.
Wow. So like if I want to ask this to and if any do you guys trust black men? Because you mentioned trust.
Do I
Shannon,
trust?
black men.
It has not. I don't think it has anything. I don't want to put black men in
A box.
a box, and I don't want to say that it's not about just black men. It's about trusting. Period. It's
Mm,
about risking yourself and being vulnerable, being authentic and transparent. And I think those are things that I say often and well. It is important to me, and I don't think we do that enough with each other. A lot of times it's surface. It's about sex. But it's not ever really about going deeper. So you kind of have to do like Tracy said, take that inventory in that first conversation and the first date. No, you're not asking for a blood sample or their debit card or their social security number, but you are asking those deeper questions. What is it that you're looking for? What are your long and short-term goals? What is your family dynamic like? What is your trauma history like? Engaging who that person is. Hopefully they will share those things with you. Of course, they would have to trust you too. It would have to be a safe space. However, you have to be able to be willing to create those things in order to understand if this person is worth moving into the next season or date or conversation with. So for me, I'm really just looking for an authentic soul, somebody who's pure at heart. I'm different. And I don't mind saying that. I mean, it's weird to me. It might be weird to other people. I don't care. But I'm looking for something that sets my soul on fire. And if it don't, I don't want.
Huh? Say that. My soul and some other things.
Look, that part, that part. Yes, yes, Lord. Look.
No, that's funny. So Tracy, as somebody who like you're very honest, and you embrace that saying, the angry black woman. How do you think that saying affects your life? Does it affect it negatively, positively? Like, what? How does it affect you?
Well, now it affects it positively because I don't want to be her, and so I strive not to be her. I'm putting in work on myself and my past and everything that has happened that has made me angry. I'm putting in the work to resolve that within myself. So it's helping me now because it's pushing me to be a better person, to strive to be a better person, to be a happier person, to be a more open person. So now it's helping me. Before, it was hurting me because I was wanting to do some things to some people that I didn't need to do that would cause me some incarceration time and stuff like that. So I had to let her go. So it's helping me. It's pushing me to be a better person. You can't fix what you don't face. So I had to face the fact that I was angry, that I was hurt, that I was bitter, and now I can fix it. Now that I'm facing it.
Wow, no, I really like that. And just a quick question, Shannon. What about you? Like that stereotype. Do you find it affects you at all, negatively, positively?
I think really the only time it affects me, current day, is at work. I am the only black woman at work. So it's almost as if I don't say, if I'm not always on happy mode, 100%, 24/7, 365, they automatically assume something's wrong. I'm angry. Who did it? One lady went to the extreme to call me a sociopath,
Wow.
So I just mind my business and my manners, but I'm not going to fake the funk. If I don't like you, that's just what it is. I don't like you.
Right.
I'm going to still be cordial and professional, but we're not about to sit and trade tarot cards.
Tarot cards. And so, like, I mean, in a sense, for you, like, I get this sense of policing. Do you find that, like, you police yourself then? Like, because if you're not happy, then automatically, oh, Shannon must be mad. Like, Shannon has to show up this way. If not, Shannon is angry. Are you angry?
No, I usually just go in the office and shut my door. I mean, I don't like a whole lot of loud talk. For me, it's business. It's not pleasure. I'm not here to build friendships. I have enough of those authentic, genuine friendships. So it's not like I'm looking for more. And because their motives aren't pure in relationship and they don't know what right relationship looks like, I'm not there to cupcake with you. I'm there to do my job. I'm there to meet my quota. I'm there to, make moves in upper management. And when it's time to get off the clock, I want to go home. I want to have a drink with you. I don't want to, have cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off. We not them people. So for me, I come in and do my job. Sometimes I feel like I have to work harder. I have to, always be the one that bends, be polite. I was told to leave my door open so I could seem more friendly instead of standoffish. But I don't like drama either. I'm not about to be inviting all these negative energies into my spirit every day and having to bend to that motive or to that, extracurricular nonsense. I'm not going to do that. Nothing is more precious to me than my sanity and my peace. You disrupt it, we're going to have some problems. And angry will be the last word you'll be using to describe me.
Okay. So, like, Tracy, what are black women saying that that black men are not understanding?
That's a good question. What I'm saying that not understanding is just be honest. If we can just start with honest communication, that will wipe a whole bunch of stuff off my plate of litany of things that black men aren't saying or aren't doing. If we could just be honest, just be honest. If all you want to do is this, then all we can do is this. Give me the option to decide if this is what I want to do or if this is where I want to be, so I can, and show me your authentic self, flaws and all. Then I know what I'm dealing with instead of the imposter reeling me in. What's that bait and switch type of thing. And it just give me honest communication. You know, we can even be
Especially in
friends. I'm
relationships.
attracted to you, and you tell me, well, I'm not attracted to you. I can understand that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we may even still be friends, but when you playing a game, knowing you're not attracted to me, but you playing a game because you know I'm attracted to you, that's that creates
Whack. That's
Wow.
whack.
that creates anger.
Nah,
That's whack like crack. That's what that is.
Right,
Whack.
right.
yeah. Shannon, do you want to basically share your views on that? What are black women communicating that black men are not understanding?
I don't know, because I mean, it's funny to me that Tracy's on this conversation, because I said this before in another podcast. I tend to hang with similar people.
Mm-hmm.
My crew is pretty much the same across the board in terms of how we, showcase our emotions, what we seek in terms of relationships, regardless of the type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And Tracy's been my friend forever. So I kind of share the same viewpoint in terms of I am always my authentic self from gate, from jump. I want you to know who I am and what you're getting into. I'm pretty transparent. I mean, if I ain't told you, you could read it in a book. If you read it in a book, then you can sure enough ask me the questions, because I write about my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want you to say, oh, Shannon brought her representative. No, you met Shannon and Ford Jefferson, product of Vernon and Gloria. This is who I am, and this is who I will continue to be. I don't have to be someone else in different rooms and different platforms. I'm just who I am, because it's easier to be myself and not be threatened by the authenticity of myself. Or not to dim someone else's authenticity or judge them. I enter into judgment-free zones in relationships. I'm not here to judge you. That's not my job. Encourage you, build you up. Yes, absolutely, we'll do that. Some folks just aren't ready for that. However, they like the appeal of it, which is what Tracy mentioned. People stand for the stick around just because they're getting something they haven't gotten before. However, they may not stay. They may not engage you further. They may not show you their authentic self. They may want something, but they may not actually be able to deliver on it. And that, to me, is probably the bigger problem. Because for me, if you step to me, if you come into my life and you present something and you say this is what you want, you better come get it. If not, don't waste my time. Don't waste your energy.
Okay. Well, that is her friend.
Just saying.
Great.
I mean, empathy is a big part of a relationship. Now,
It is.
if empathy is a big part of relationships, so now if we were to empathize and put ourselves in the shoes of our partners, so like in your case, I guess whoever you choose to be with, what would be reasons why a man basically might not be forthcoming, in your opinion? Like what would be so scary about that to be actually show them?
Why would they not be forthcoming? Yeah. I mean, I could go down. We'll give I had a guy who wasn't forthcoming because he was screwing somebody else in this group that we were in together, and he didn't want to tell me. Because I guess he couldn't trust me to make my own decisions about if that's something I wanted or not. I had another guy who didn't want to be judged because of his mama issues. One, he didn't admit that he had them and a problem. Yet he had given this story about his mama that was like, dude, how can you not see it? And not asking you to go to therapy, but you need to talk to somebody. You need to let something out. And I dated him for a year.
Oh.
Lord Jesus. I mean, there's so many reasons why. A lot of times it's a safe space. A lot of times it's the allure of the game. A lot of times they don't want to grow up, and that's okay. Do you? But you are better off telling the truth about who you are and what you want, and giving that woman the opportunity to say, okay, use an F-boy with that, or no, that's not my thing. I'm sorry. Best of luck to you. I think in this day and age, a lot of us say we grown, but we have not grown up. And therein lies the problem.
Wow. Okay. No, like that's actually very interesting. And the funny thing is, so I have a female friend of mine has. So as you're saying, she was like, "Oh my gosh," she's like, she's cheering you on, and like,
Hi,
and the funny,
female friend whose name I don't
yeah,
know.
name CC,
Hi,
and
Cece.
and the funny thing about that, so as you were saying the same thing too, I noticed Kente's face. He was shaking his head, and like in the
Oh,
part,
I didn't know this.
yeah, in the part, I kind of was like, you know, like sharing a similar sentiment to Kente's head shake as to wait. The part where, so it's the part where because I'm noticing like oftentimes where we lapse in communication with black men and black women, and I want to talk about everybody, but it seems like we idealize how we would like to be. For example, if a man showed up and he is he's a hard worker, but he is not, he's not meeting certain criteria that society, let's say he didn't finish school, or like whatever his case might be. Like as a black man, I'm finding that oftentimes there is a lot of sisters that would put this brother like in a box and classify him as being less than,
Yeah.
and then could continue on their journey and keep bashing black men and saying that, well, y'all ain't good for nothing. Yeah, like you guys are not providing and everything. So that's just like an example. So it's like, for me, when you're saying that, like the reaction that I got in was like, there could be a brother that shows up well intentioned, but then
Yeah, I agree.
so that like what do we do? Like how do
But I've talked to all of them. I've talked to all of them. Like, I am not one of those people that says, oh, you don't look a certain way, you're not packaged right, I'm not going to talk to you. Now, there are certain automatic deal breakers. If you smoke, I'm not interested. If you gamble, not my thing. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, I'm sorry, I'm out. But that's it. Like, everything else is cool. You could be tall, you could be short, you could be overweight, you could be underweight. We can work all those things out. Like, not a problem. But characters where those issues come into place. Communication falls under how his character is, who he is as a person, same as a woman. And that's with everything that he does or everything that she does. That's under their character. Has nothing to do with what they're packaged like. Because an ugly person could be dope AF and a fine person could be a piece of garbage. So I don't look at it as, oh my gosh, he's this, that, or the other. Who is he in his character? What is his integrity like? What does his soul say to me when we have a conversation? Because I don't want to be attracted to your demons. I'm good on that. I've done my work. I've healed myself whole. So I don't have time for that. What I want to know is, how can we mesh well together? Can we do life together? Can I pray for you and encourage you? And if we can do that, if we can have conversations, if we can commit to making things work, then let's do that. If not, we could be friends. And if not, we can move on, part our ways. I understand that the best for you may not be me. I'm good on that.
No, it's like I like that. So let's say if you do find a brother with whom you could pray with, and you could pray with for and receive prayers from, and all the other attributes that you mentioned. What if like there's a part in him that he comes up short? Let's say he doesn't he starts smoking. Is that a deal breaker automatically, or like?
For me,
yes, for you.
Smoking? Why is he smoking? Like, did he smoke before, or did he just pick this habit up out of the thin air?
Out. If he's saying she's too angry,
you stressing them out.
Like, there are a million other coping mechanisms important to me because of the line of work I'm in. So we would have to work through that. Now, I'm not saying that just because he picked up this bad habit, I'm gonna be like, snip, snip, cut you off. But that's a product of my past. My father used to smoke. My mother used to smoke. Those are things that I just don't jive well with smoke anyway. So that might be a problem for me. However, if that's something that you did and you tried it, you decided you didn't like it and you're not going to do it no more, maybe we could have a conversation. But I'm not going to say that works for me, because that there are just some things, and you have the right to choose what those things are. That's just one of my things. It's and we use the word trigger loosely. But for me, it reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of my parents. It reminds me of my father. And I don't like that made me. No. And plus you stink. No. Yeah. I'm just going to say no.
What's he vape? Is vaping
Yeah.
okay?
He said,
Oh my
If,
god.
if the guy vape,
What?
what if he vapes the watermelon flavored vape? Then he won't
Don't
stink.
do that. And watermelon is dope to me, but I don't know. No vaping either. No. I mean, that there are three things that are like absolute no's for me out of 1,000, hundreds of thousands probably. So yeah, no. I'm not about to, because if you don't, well, first of all, you only say truth. But if you're not standing on something solid in your foundation, and then you could just teeter totter and change your mind and say, okay, no, this is not my standard anymore, then you are susceptible to just invite any old thing into your life. For me, I am dating with purpose. I am dating to eventually marry. I am dating eventually to be someone's peace and sanctuary. So I'm not going to be this unsure, saying, oh, I don't want this, and then two fine and he hit it right. Oh, that's okay. You can do that. That's okay. No, that's not okay. We gonna rise to the challenge and the occasion of being excellent versions of ourselves daily, and that's not excellent for me. Sorry.
I love that. See, you got my friend Cece out here clapping. That's
CC clapping.
Yes.
Thank you,
So
CC.
actually, I want your opinion too on this conversation, CC. In regards of basically like I think it was yesterday we were talking about the angry black woman. Like for you, like do you feel like you are an angry black woman? And you,
No, I don't feel I'm an angry black woman. I feel like.
can you guys hear Cece?
A little bit. She doesn't feel like she's an angry black woman so far.
No, but I do feel like we have to tippy toe and try our best. You brought it up earlier, to be overly happy as to not intimidate people and not be ourselves, especially in the workplace. Yeah. God forbid we put a little bit of emotion behind what it was we were saying. So I feel we have to go above and beyond on a daily basis to make sure we don't come across as that. Do I feel I'm that? Not at all. But I feel like we have to go above and beyond to make sure other people don't feel that.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, like the thing that's interesting for me is like, what do you guys think contribute to that image of the angry black woman? Like, why? Like, and I asked this last week. Why is it that like that image exists? Like, what do you guys think that is? Where did that come from?
Oh, there's probably 100 different reasons why women are angry, especially black women. It could be broken relationships from family dynamics. It could be failed relationships. It could be failed marriages. It could be deadbeat, parentals, that they're supposed to be co-parenting with. It could be discrimination on the job. It could be touching and grabbing on her because she's thick and she got the right parts in the right places. There are many reasons why women become many reasons why women choose to stay angry. I can't speak for those things because one, not my circle. Two, not myself. My mother always taught me that if you don't know how to use your words, then you might need to step back and pray about it. You might need to, deal with yourself first internally before you give out what you need to give out externally. So my mother always taught us to, use our words well. Don't waste your words. Don't cuss when you're talking to people, even if you're upset or disgruntled or disappointed. There are a million ways to express those emotions without cussing people out and acting ignorant. So for me, and to me, it's such an extreme. People in this day and age can only be two things: happy or angry. No, today maybe I was disappointed at how you raised your voice. I was frustrated with the pressing amount of work I had to do when seemingly there are 12 other people in the office who could have done the same work. Or, there are so many different myriads of emotion that take place in a human psyche that angry isn't always one of them. Commonly diagnosed as angry or dressed up as angry because dig deeper and say, well, what is going on? Not necessarily what is wrong with you, because there's not necessarily anything wrong with you. There might just be things happening around you outside of your control that you need to decompress or express out loud.
Because see, that's a good point. Now, for me, my issue becomes how come we often attach the construct of anger to black women, therefore like the stereotype of the angry black woman. Like why why is that? Why is it solely the black woman? Because I mean, as a man, basically, like I get angry, like white females get angry, white males get angry, like we all get like angry. But why is that label like stereotyped and attached to black women like specifically?
So back up. Who's we?
Society. So like CC asked me who is we.
So who's backing that? Because I don't believe that it came from us titling us that, and I don't think it started with black women in general. I think it started.
It's society.
What's that?
Society.
Yeah.
It's society. We're portrayed that on television.
Mm-hmm.
We're portrayed that in movies. You see that in dynamic relationships, whether it's Hollywood or mainstream or layperson. We are often deemed, because we have an attitude, we roll our necks, we shake our heads, we have our hands on our hip, that we're this attitudinal, angry, hostile, erratic creature who's unstable. And sometimes that's misconstrued. Sometimes it's passion. Sometimes it is an overflowing of an emotion. We are an emotional creature. That is just who we are. And it doesn't mean that anything about it is unstable. Sometimes it's like, have you ever seen a painter paint with all the emotion that they have? So when the piece comes out, it's a brilliant canvas. Mm-hmm. That's sometimes how we conversate. That's sometimes how we love. Everything that we have with it flowing. A lot of us are all in women. So everything that we encompass. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who are quite unstable and don't know how to control their emotions. That is a whole different conversation under the mental health category. But we are talking about common women who are extraordinary by day and night, and who are labeled angry just because they are overly zealous in their passion. There's nothing wrong with being that person.
Because I mean, like in my experience, like the elephant in the room is that I have experienced times where that passion, it translates into like I guess of like others around, like like I don't know like if that's like I don't know how that experience is basically like perceived from, for example, when a person is angry, when they are talking, how it's perceived on the outside. Like I don't know how it's basically reflected like back to them. So for example, Cece, when you're like, let's say when you're angry, are you in a space of awareness as to how your anger is received on the outside?
So I absorb, or I should say I execute my anger differently. I get quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I understand that people know that I'm angry, reverse of what I normally am. I don't know that I'm most talkative, but I shut down. I'm not so far from being the angry, yelling, cussing black woman. Do I understand how it's received? Not all the time. Because I can't hide my feelings. I know I show it in my face. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think I'm doing a better job than I actually am at hiding that. So I don't believe that I always understand how it's received.
And quick question, Shannon, is like, have you ever basically like, thank you so much. Have you ever been in a situation where you were not angry, but then perceived as being angry?
Yeah, like I said, I think people misconstrue other emotions as anger. And it's always when I'm not smiling. People are like, well, are you upset? Are you mad? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, I could be deep in thought. Something else could have my attention. My mind goes a mile a minute, and sometimes more than that. But yeah, I've been accused of being angry when I was anything but. And sometimes I just don't want to be bothered. It has nothing to do with being angry. Sometimes, especially when you're a giver by nature with yourself, I like to, do things for other people quite often. So for me, sometimes I just need to refresh. I need to push a restart button. I need to relax. But that does not mean that I'm not out in the community doing, this in my head, internalizing these things in my body and my spirit. And sometimes when people don't saw you, with a smile on your face, always bubbly. They're like, oh, so you're angry. And I'm like, no, I just need to be quiet and still and refresh myself. People who pour out all the time at some point need to be poured back into. And that's sometimes not how that works for us, you know, because like I said, we're nurturers, we're givers by nature. So some of us give ourselves out till depletion, and yeah, that can make somebody angry.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I was lost for a minute. But going back to what you said, Boogie, I think it started because and back in history times, women were supposed to remain in their place. We were supposed to be submissive. We were supposed to always do what we're told and be quiet and do it in peace. And nowadays, women are more vocal. So because we're more vocal and more emotional about how we feel, it's coming across as anger. It's not coming across as anger. It's just coming across as coming into myself, into my own, using my own mind, will, and emotions. So I think we got labeled the angry Black woman because we stepped out of the place where we were initially supposed to remain. That's my opinion about it.
Wow. Yeah. So the ET just wrote. I think my anger comes from misinformation, but I'm talking about Black women in this one. Sorry, ET. So like in this, so like from what I get is because like that's the thing. I think it's a misunderstanding of that energy because like there seems to, like Shannon, you use the word passion, and Tracy, like you use like a different way to describe it, but it seems to be this energy where it's this sense of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's this sense of wanting to express, but then once that expression is done, it's received as if, you know, like the person on the outside is being either attacked or so like that. I think that's what, for me, what I'm getting is that's what it is. It's this wantingness to, like, I don't know, like do you guys feel silenced? Like,
you know what? Sometimes, well, let's go to relationships and then I'll relationships outside of the romantic one. I think sometimes when you tell someone that you care about in a relationship, non-platonic, that you like X, Y, and Z, or you don't like A, B, and C, and they don't listen, they don't receive, they don't adhere to or apply it to, you know, moving forward, that makes a person feel silenced. It's like, you didn't hear me, you don't value, you didn't take into consideration my feelings or my thoughts on how I feel. You know, I know how to love me better than you do, and I'm trying to show you, but you're not feeling that. No different with platonic relationships, friendships, work relationships, you know, acquaintances. When you engage people, you are in essence giving a part of yourself to them in whatever way you're giving yourself. And if there is something, a misunderstanding, a misconstruement, a miscommunication of sorts, usually the breakdown is I said X, Y, and Z, and not that you didn't hear me. It's how you took it in. Now, you could have been an intelligent creature and said, hey, what I heard was this, waited for me to either refute or respond accordingly and say, yes, I did say that. And then how are we moving forward in what was said and what was received? A lot of times that's why I said, if you can have a foundation of communication and trust with a person, regardless of the relationship, and creating that safe space. Because I can tell you anything if the space is safe for me and I can trust you with my vulnerabilities and you won't judge me or you won't go missing for 2 months. Like for me, communication is everything. And I don't understand why when we say things like that, it is such a big deal. Like, and not even a big deal to the point of, oh my gosh, are you crazy? But, oh my gosh, you know, I'm doing 10,000 other things. I understand you are a working man. You are a hardworking man. That's why I was attracted to you in the first place. I understand that you may have family or children or dreams outside of me as an individual. I love that about you. That lets me know that you care about people. I understand that you have friends. I want you to have a life outside me. I'm not trying to misery you. I'm not trying to attach you to a bed and break your ankles. I want you because of all these things that you. But I also need you to reciprocate what you see in me that I saw in you. So that means we need to be able to communicate with one another. I need to know that this bothers you. Here at 29 years after you blew up this information, we need to be able to talk. We need to be able to be honest with each other, not necessarily worrying about hurting each other's feelings, but being honest about who we are, where we're at, accepting each other for who we are and where we're at, and going forward in that. I can love you and be in love with you more if we can communicate through our problems, if we can communicate through what makes us different, because we are two inherent different people. But when the communication breaks, oh, you got big problems, because I am going to silence myself. I am going to remove myself from the equation. I am going to distance myself, and no, I'm not angry, but I have resolved to the fact that you don't care about me as much as I care about you. You don't care about this relationship as much as I care about you. I'm not trying to be a statistic. I'm not trying to be like, sisters and aunties and grandmothers before me who didn't get relationship right. I am trying to redeem right relationships in my life, because I am not continuing a cycle that people did before me. The cycle stops. It broke. I'm breaking it. It starts with me. So we not doing that. If you can't communicate with me, miss me with that. Go write a book, sit in a corner, talk to yourself, play a video game, but I'm communicating. That's what we're going to do. We ain't got to do it 24/7, 365, but we need to know each other. We need to speak each other's love language. We need to be able to engage each other, even just by body language alone. You could walk in the room. I can tell by the way you pulled that tie off your neck that you had a bad day, that you need a few minutes to decompress, that I'm going to go get you a drink and I'm going to sit down. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm there. That's communication. If we can't get back to the heart of redeeming right relationships, we'll never be in any.
That's my boo.
Hey. Yeah, Shannon.
That's why that's my friend.
Shannon's got like a big fan going on. Like, see, she's like a big fan of Shannon now. Oh my gosh, that's funny. But like,
she is.
Like, I guess like one thing that is coming to mind is that so there is this big disconnect like amongst a lot of like Black men and women, because when you look at Black relationships, we're losing. So, and we're losing. And the thing that I'm finding is that, yes, Shannon, like, it's a very good point, communication, but like I don't even know if we know what that entails. How do it's like how can we show up in a way where, Tracy, like you as a woman, you feel understood? Like, how can a man show up for you where you feel understood and not trigger like emotions and past hurts?
For me, I think if we're growing together, if we're learning together, if we're building together, we're going to establish that communication. You're going to learn me, and I'm going to. Can't tell you all of the things that you will need to know, but as you study me and learn me and watch me and let me be all you need for me to be to you, then you'll understand where I am. You'll understand what I need. I think that once you connect to someone, then they begin to feel you and you begin to feel them. So like Shannon said, when he walks in the room and how he walks in the room, I can tell, you've had a bad day, or I can tell it's a good day. I can tell how you feeling right now. But I think as you learn and you grow and you build, then those things will come. But initially, communication is key, because I'm going to be talking to you while we're building, and while we're talking, we're going to be learning each other. We're going to be studying each other. I used to tell people when I used to do a married couples class that you have to study your spouse like you study for a doctorate, for a master's, because you have to learn who they are. You got to watch them. You got to be able to feel them. You got to be able to know their movements. When their eyes shift, you got to know what that's about. That's how hard you got to be into somebody that you want to be a part of your life. Because that when you start sharing communication and bodily fluids, that's deep. I mean, that's deep. So before you start doing all of that, you got to. It's much more to it. Communication, I think, is everything. It's like blood to the body. Communication is to a relationship. You got to be able to talk, and you got to be able to talk and be able to receive as well as give. If I'm telling you what I'm feeling and I'm telling you what I need, if you can't provide that, be honest enough to say, that's not something I can provide. Don't blow me off like what I'm asking for is wrong. You just not able to provide it, and be honest enough. I might be able to shift And we can work. How can two walk together except they agree? We can agree to come to a happy medium if we're meant to be together. But communication, you got to be able to hear me. I got to be able to hear you. And that, I mean,
no, that's a great point. And like, I'm actually wondering because I know this actually contributes a bit to the anger of partners and black women. Are you guys in awareness of what that term the silencing of the black man? Do you guys know what that is? Like the silenced black man.
It's because
I think I've heard it before, but in what context in this conversation do you want us to respond to it as? I mean, because there's many, multifaceted.
Definitely. So like does that trigger, like, for example, you as a woman, does that trigger you when like a black man basically like shows up and he says, well, I can't talk to y'all, like I feel like I have to shut myself down, and like like, so you're saying all these things about communication, and like I want to communicate, but sometimes I feel like there's no space for me. I have to shut myself down, so I have to silence myself. Like in that aspect, does that contribute to your anger, or like how does that affect you as a woman when you hear that?
Maybe frustration, not anger. I was talking to someone and they weren't, and this is probably more men than not. He was not emotionally in sync with himself. So showing emotion was not something that he did well. Being emotionally vulnerable was not something that was applauded upon. So a lot of times called to lead or to direct or to build or to construct things, they have to pull that emotion back. They can't be emotional. They have to be tactile. They have to be analytical, and emotion has to be devoid in those things. So sometimes that carries into relationship. But that is, we are to come together. Sometimes we have to balance each other, and there has to be an opposite, and that attracts. So a lot of times I do meet people who are less emotionally vulnerable than I am. But I am going to be the person who says, not about you, without you. So if we're going to have a conversation about you, I'm not going to have it without you. So we need to sit here and have this conversation together, not accusing you, not saying you make me feel, because my feelings are exclusively mine. I choose to feel this way about a situation which you are a part of, taking ownership and responsibility, but asking you to be accountable to the situation so that either you can make changes in the behavior that you exhibited if you own them, or you can at least acknowledge that these are the behaviors that make me feel the way I do. And maybe you want to avoid that altogether. So when a man feels as if he can't conversate, or he can't be heard, or he can't express himself deeper, a lot of times that's unchecked baggage. So let's unpack that. Why do you feel like you can't speak to me? Was there something that I did or said? Because how I speak to him is how I speak to anyone. Of course, there has to be some grace and some kindness behind everything you say. When you're talking to your man, you want to be his peace. You want to be his sanctuary. But sometimes you also need to be firm. I done said this way too much now. So now I feel like you're not listening to me. And not that I'm mad at you in a way that I'm trying to cut you down. I'm not trying to cut down the tree. I like shade. But if you going to be the tree that I sit under, and I am the one nurturing you and watching you grow and giving you, good love in all facets of the term, we need to be able to have a conversation. That's a part of intimacy. That's a part of understanding. That's a part of growth and development and relationship. And it's not just a relationship because it look good on paper and in appearance. It's about right relationship. So if you and I, we are talking to each other to understand, to rectify, to reconcile, not just to be right, because to hell with being right. Unless we write together, we ain't right is not important. So for me, I want to be able to be my man's peace, but that starts with him having those words come out of his mouth. And I'm going to listen because he's my man. I'm going to listen to hear, and I'm going to hear to understand. And then I'm going to bring it back to him and say, okay, babe, is this what I heard? Is this, so what do you need? Because that's usually what I ask in relationship. What is it that you need? And if I can meet that need whether it's through prayer, whether it's through being present and being silent, whether it's actually responding and making the right moves and necessary developments. I'm here for that. But you have to be willing to tell me. And again, that's vulnerability, that's transparency, that's authenticity, that's safe. If you don't have that, you don't have right relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Wow. Okay. And so, Cece, like, when you hear a man say, "I feel like I can't talk to you," like, what comes up for you? How did that make you feel?
Unheard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I'm not allowed to speak with emotion. Because
Mm-hmm.
when he says I feel like I can't talk to you, it's because he's not liking the, what's the word that she used behind speech? She used a really good, like, passion. I'm not allowed to speak with passion about things that affect me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you not have passion or emotion behind something that's obviously bothering you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I can use my words. I'm not cussing. I'm not swinging my arm. I'm having a conversation, and you just feel unheard when they say that I can't even talk to you, because right away it just sounds like they're shutting down what it is you're trying to get across because you have emotion behind it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So, like, Tracy, what comes what comes up for you if, as a man, like I say, I feel like I can't talk to you. I feel like I get shut down. Like, how does that make you feel?
That would make me want to inquire as to why you feel that way. Why do you feel like you can't talk to me? What is the issue with our communication that you can't talk to me? Because I know I'm vocal. I know I'm very open. I'm very honest. I'm very vocal, and sometimes I can be overly vocal. And so I'll have to ask the question, and hopefully he'll be able to answer. I don't want a man of mine to ever feel like he can't talk to me, because if he can't talk to me, that means he's going to end up talking to somebody else. Because in spite of being caveman, men are vocal. They're going to talk to somebody. And so I'll have to figure out what it is. We have to figure out what it is that is causing you not to be able to talk to me. And in communicating that, we'll work on that. If you say, well, you coming at me wrong, or you coming at me aggressive, then it's up to me to hear what you're saying, just like it's up to you to hear what I'm saying, and for me to kind of taper down or come to you in a different type of way, because I love you. And if I love you, then I'm going to try to do whatever to keep the peace between us. I'm not going to say, well, this is just who I am, how I'm going to talk to you, and you just going to either you listen or you don't. Go downstairs in your man cave, do what you want to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on. Why are you feeling like that? Because it might not necessarily be me. It could be something else going on that I'm just adding to. And so I'm going to ask him, why do you feel that way? And if you don't want to talk about it now, we can talk about it later. But this is coming back to the table because I don't want this to affect us. Because if it's affecting you, it's
Absolutely.
already affecting us. Because when you're affected, I'm affected, we're affected. It's not just you, because the two are one. So I'm going to try to figure out what's going on.
And no, like that's all great points. Like, I want to read some of the comments here. Like Dre, I think he said it can be how we frame the question, and then he said
Mm-hmm.
that he suggested a way to phrase the question. So, is there anything I'm doing that makes you feel unsafe when communicating with me? So, like, yeah, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
like a good way of like approaching, because like I think that like oftentimes, like, if I look at myself, like the ways I may contribute to the angry black woman like in general, is because I find recently I found that as a man I do rationalize a lot. I rationalize my emotions away, and it just recently hit me that like a lot of women are very in tune with their emotions. So while I'm trying to intellectualize what I'm processing, I might be missing the emotional side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And they, I don't know if for me, if that's where the lapses in communication are, or if how I myself I might be contributing to the stereotype, or basically bringing out the angry black woman, because I'm trying to intellectualize everything away while she is in there feeling what she's feeling. And I actually wonder, from your lens, let me see, Shannon, like in which ways do you think, like a lot of black men, we basically we help propagate this idea of the angry black woman? How do we basically like help bring her out like all the time? How do we pull her out? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Or
How do we help,
black
or
men,
how do we perpetuate the cycle of her
yes,
being?
yes. Like how are we perpetuating the cycle? Like black men specifically.
See, what I would probably say would be all based on secondhand knowledge, because again, I try to take ownership for how I feel.
Okay.
And I don't like to allow people to choose how I feel. I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt said no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So if I feel a certain way based on how you behaved, I consented to that. And a lot of times, like I said, peace and sanity is important to me, importante, and I'm not willing
Extra
to just
important.
I'm not willing to consent that way. Now, I will discuss then and disclose that I'm feeling a certain way so that I can decompress, and release that thing. I like to carry negative streams of emotion in my psyche, in my daily going in and going out, because sometimes what you carry is what you give away. And so I'm not trying to give that out to other people, to other things, to other places, because it messes with my creativity, it messes with my passion, it messes with my ability to communicate and to speak the truth in love. So men, how they perpetuate that, it could be a myriad of things. It can be there sometimes. A lot of women don't like to be ignored, which makes them angry. And it's not ignored because she's getting on your nerves or she's bothering you. You ignore her because you don't want to address the issue, because you don't want to confront. You know, a lot of people don't like confrontation, and they look at communication as confrontation instead of legit communication.
Yes.
But the reality is there's also nothing wrong with confrontation as long as it's healthy. We need to confront this issue so that it doesn't become a war zone in our hearts and in our home. Like, I'm not trying, we fight the world outside every single day. I'm not coming home to fight you. No. I'm not going to do it. It's not happening. That's not what I have in my mind about what we're going to do. Will we always get along? Absolutely not. Will we always see eye to eye? We can't have communication, if we can't have healthy discussions or debates without, name calling or raising our voices or acting ignorant, there's a problem, because that is not the type of energy that I invite into my life, into my relationship. And I'm not going to give that to you. I don't want you to come home and have to fight me after you done fought the world, after you done been questioned about being a black man in corporate America or being an entrepreneur. I don't want you to have to fight me too. So when you come home to me, you are coming home to your peace. You are coming home to your sanctuary. Now, you might deal with angry black women out in the street, but baby, I guarantee you, before you turn that knob and that key, please leave that outside this door. Now, if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I'm here for it. I want to be everything that you need in terms of conversation, because that is important to me. But I am not going to perpetuate or allow you to perpetuate in my life the stereotype of an angry black woman. Am I colorful in my conversation? Absolutely. Do I use my words, thesaurus, encyclopedia, Britannica? I'm all over all of those things. So yes, my conversation will be full, in depth, and in high definition. But am I going to cuss you out, talk bad about you? No. I'm not going to take you and slam your name through the streets to my friends, to the blogs, to the, the columns. Anything that anybody else hears about you from me is always going to be good. It's always going to be loving. Because at the end of the day, we trying to save relationships. We're not trying to destroy them. I'm not going to do that.
No, man, like that's, yep. I definitely agree. And Tracy, a cool question too. And this was actually Dre helped facilitate that. How do we help our black women? How do we get them out of the state of being the angry black woman? How can we help?
By loving and listening. That's loving and listening.
By coming back.
Yeah.
By coming back. Loving, coming back. Like, don't be afraid Now, I will say I'm not trying to create war, and I'm going to go back to Tracy because I'm not going to step on her toes, but I'm not trying to create a war with you, but I can't be in a ring and call it a fight.
Right.
We are in a fight for relationships. We are in a fight for doing life together right. Everybody is already bet on against us. So it is our duty, it is our privilege, it is our honor to show other little Black boys and Black girls that Black people can love each other and right. That we can see each other as kings and queens, that we can honor each other in our speech and our action, that we can yield and submit to each other without delay, that we can have each other's back, that we can actually be each other's peace and comfort and safe space and be trusting in the vulnerability and the authenticity of the relationship. And I think that when we preach from that platform about why Black love is Black wealth, Black love is Black power, and stand firm in that truth by showcasing it in everything that we do. Like I said on Twitter, I am pro-Black, meaning I'm Black women in relationship, and I am supportive of Black men romance. Doesn't mean I diss anyone else, but that is where I stand. That is what I stand for. That is what I believe for. Gloria was Black. Vernon was Black. They made a Black child named Shannon. I want a Black. He can have some Black babies. Maybe not from my womb, but he can have some. So saying all that to say, that is important to me. That is what I value. That is what I'm going to always. And there's not going to be any negative connotation attached to that. So we want the same. We want to be honored as women of value and substance, not considered or treated as angry species, or come back to us with, your opinion of, what you value and what you want to bring into this conversation so that we can have a relationship that makes sense to us. It ain't got to look good on paper to everybody else because everybody else ain't in the relationship.
Right. And when I say love, that encompasses all of that. Love encompasses support. It encompasses talking. It encompasses giving. It encompasses loving. It encompasses nurturing. It encompasses support. I mean, love encompasses all of that. You love him,
and it covers a multitude,
and it covers a multitude of sin. So when I say love, that's what I mean. Come back to me in your fullness and love me the way that God intended for me to be loved, like the queen that I am. And I can in turn support you and love you like the king that you are. And in listening, we can understand what that love look like in our relationship. It's not about, like Shannon said, nobody else's. In listening and communication, we can see what that love looks like in our relationship. So we can be there for one another. I too, like Shannon, I'm pro-Black. That don't mean I'm anti anything else. But I'm pro-Black, and I'm mixed, but I'm pro-Black. And so, I mean, I love hard, I love long, and I think that love can cover and can break any curse or any words that have been spoken over me. Love can break that.
Can I say this? Because I know Tracy this is where she was going, and I love you for it. That's why we're friends. And for me, everything I do in and of and around love goes back to 1 Corinthians 13:4. Love is patient and kind. And so a lot of times when you are looking at this scripture, if you can't put yourself in these words, so right. Shannon is patient and kind. Well, wait, Shannon, you wasn't patient with him today. You might need to reevaluate that. Okay. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. Now, when you are the word place for love, if you are not those things, you have to do some work. And that's just the reality. Nobody comes into a relationship or is in a relationship or ends a relationship as a perfect person. We are all flawed individuals. We often get life wrong. You are not always a lovable person. So at the end of the day, wake up, Kente. At the end of the day, you have to be willing to do the work, growing don't always feel good, but it's for your good. So for me, if my mate told me, hey, you was a little sharp with me today, or I didn't like the attitude, I'm going to reevaluate. It may not make me feel good, but I'm going to reevaluate what I am doing because it is that I present to my significant other what he needs in that moment. He may not need all that extra sass that I was giving him, and I need to be just understanding in that moment. Don't mean he won't get some extra sass somewhere else, but right now, and we need to be cognizant and aware, and able to receive what that other person needs, and if we are able in that moment or at the right time, meet those needs.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beautiful thing too. Like all these are beautiful. They're beautiful words, and even for myself as a man, on the other side of that, I'm like, wow, like that's exactly what I want to to create for my possible spouse. Now, somewhere like in between that, I find that there's the ignorant black man and the angry black woman, like somewhere like in between that happening, and that's where I think like the elephant lies. I think we like historically, not individually, like historically, the concept of love has been very tainted in our community. So
Yeah.
so even like a lot of brothers, when it's like we engage into this whole construct of love, we don't know what it is. And I'm assuming like for female, a lot of females as well, because we could speak of this construct, but I think when we're in it, it's so much different than the actual like the things we say. So it's like how, and I think Tracy had mentioned this like earlier. Tracy said that it's about being authentic to ourselves and also our partners, them being authentic, real to themselves as well. How do we bridge like the gap? How do we basically bridge the gap into authenticity? Because a lot of men tend to be afraid, like a lot of men, to basically like be vulnerable and open because it's not very man. And a lot of women tend to be basically they're very disappointed, that which might translate into anger, and then like therefore forget men. Like how, like what are some suggestions for us to basically be really real like with ourselves?
Keep having these conversations,
Right.
not just amongst ourselves, but with each other. If there's somebody that you're doing a relationship with, have the conversation. Continue to stretch your vulnerabilities with each other. If you tell somebody that you love them, that's great. But now you got to show it. Now the work really begins. So when they're less than lovable, when they're unloving, you still need to tell them that you love them, because that's who you are. That's what you said you were going to do. That's what you invested in. And a lot of times we say stuff in the moment, that moment passes, and then we want to do something totally different. Mm-hmm. So I loved you 20 days ago, but now you acting like a nincompoop and I don't have time for you. So I don't love you anymore. I don't like you. I don't even want to be bothered. Say so, but love is it's an extension of who you are. It's an overflowing of what is in your cup. So you love somebody not necessarily because they're loving. You love them because you're a loving person. Just like you're a gentleman, not because they deserve it. It's because that's who you are. If you are putting on this armor of a person, I'm a lovable person, I'm a loving person, that's what I extend to the world, then you extend it, regardless of what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Regardless of how everyone else is acting, because you can still speak the truth in love when you're disappointed. Mm-hmm. You can still show truth in love when you're frustrated and you're angry. You can be angry and sin not. Yeah, you pissed me off. However, let's come back to
my authentic self.
However, exactly. I'm gonna come back to the heart of the matter and talk about how this happened or where the breakdown was, and see if we can come to some resolve. Now, that's mature conversation. That's hopeful, wholesome conversation amongst two mature, willing, consenting people. I don't know. How can you just not love someone for a moment? That's not what love is. I think people are infatuated. Right. I think people are lustful. Right. I think the image of someone sounds good in the moment. But I don't think that people are truly taking on what love is and being love and showing, because love is sacrificing. Love is an awareness of another person outside of yourself. So when I tell you, I don't like the way this was communicated to me, you didn't consider my feelings, you don't just shove them off to the side and say, well, you get over, suck it up, grow a pair. You try to speak their love language and meet their need because you love them. You're invested in that. And sometimes that investment may not get a return for quite some time. But because you have agreed to love this person, love endures all things. Love hopes all things. Love never fails. And you have to keep feeding that into your energy. I think Jada said it a couple of shows ago, not necessarily yours. I don't remember which one, but she said, you have to make the choice daily. And that's with anything. You have to wake up and decide who you are going to be today. Before your feet hit that floor, you decide if you are going to be that angry stereotype or if you are going to have joy in your heart and your spirit, regardless of the circumstance. I have learned to count all things joy. Now, I ain't trying to put it is a Sunday, though. However, but that is how you have to embrace relationship. That's how you have to be conscientious. You have to be intentional. You have to be purposeful. Like, I love you not because of what you have and what you can give to me. I love you because of who you are and what I see in you. I see value in you. I see greatness in you. I see a human that I can know without a certainty leads well, and I will submit to that. Now, when you're tripping, we still gonna talk about it, and I can still be under your submission, but we still need to have a conversation. That is relationship. We need to get back to right relationship. A lot of people are doing relationship, but they're not doing relationship.
Right.
Wow. Anything to add to that, Tracy?
Nope. My boo said it all.
Yeah, so that seems to be like the word.
This is where my passion is. And hindsight is 2020. And when I was in seminary going to school for marriage and family counseling, I should have stayed in it, but I was stressed, maxed out, didn't have the right support system. But for me, marriage is the catapult to so many different things. It's to other relationships. It is to showcase children that it can be done, that you are able to commit and submit to one person and do life with and explore different terrains and build an empire. People want people that are already put together instead of building something with somebody, because nobody wants to do the work. But anything worth having
is worth working for.
Your weight, whether that's your woman, whether that's your wisdom, whether that's your wealth, you have got to work at it. It's a must. You've got to be willing to put in the work so that you can build that thing up. And the more you work at it, the better it becomes. We're not striving to perfection. We're striving to progress. So if you would like to progress with me in this process of life, baby, bring it, because I'm going to be all in with you. Everybody else no longer exists. You are king, and I'm here for it.
Yes,
Shannon for president.
Hey, Shannon for president. Hey.
This is my favorite topic. Y'all have no idea. Y'all are making my heart real happy right now.
And not only is she good at building relationships, she's good at building you once you're broken by a relationship. So Shannon has walked me through the fire. So this is her passion, and we talk about it all the time.
Shannon,
that's amazing. And you know what? It's like on that note, I want to thank all of you guys for this whole month.
Not you, Kente.
Thank you.
See how they do the black man?
I feel we love you.
Oh wait, I'm LA today.
We love you.
We love you.
I'm LA. How you gonna disrespect LA Wade like that?
We will actually be continuing this conversation in our podcast tomorrow. So I'm glad that this is where the conversation lended itself, because this is actually what we're talking about tomorrow.
Nice. So it's I just want to basically do a quick recap, then I'll give everybody space to share your contacts as well. We thank you guys so much for this whole month, for rocking with us. I think that as Black people, we need to get back to central, to get back to essence and zero with ourselves. Keep loving basically ourselves. We need to realize that we are allies and not enemies. And I think that the day that a Black man is going to realize that the Black woman is the most oppressed group in the world, And the day that the black woman is going to realize that the black man is the most oppressed group in the world, then basically, like from that point on, we'll have a real understanding of empathy and we'll move forward. I appreciate each and every one of you ladies. It's more than a month, but we celebrate you guys every day. We do care about y'all, and we are here for y'all. And I thank you guys so much. Shannon, do you want to give your contact info?
You can find me on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at Shannon Ford and Jefferson, like the president. Tomorrow, I will be on the Mars and Venus show, Men and Women Talk, with my wonderful co-host, Kente Ferguson, at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are talking about the nice versus kind debate, why nice guys and girls finish last. So you can find us on YouTube and get vocal. It'll be a good time.
Nice. And Miss Tracy J?
You can reach me on IG, Facebook, Living Beneath His Shadow. I also have a blog, Living Beneath His Shadow, WordPress.com. I have a radio broadcast which comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Also Smooth Radio. So you can reach me at that is Living Beneath His Shadow as well. Oh, and the Friday Chronicles, which is a Facebook Live that comes on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. And Fifi, how can people reach you? On Instagram? Like, what's your Instagram?
Cece, my trainer.
Oh.
That's where you can find me.
Oh, my trainer. Okay.
Yes. Personal trainer?
Yes, she is the personal trainer. So, like, I'm going to type it in the comments so you guys could
check
out her Instagram. Yes, she is. She's amazing. So, Cece. So, C.
It was a pleasure listening to you guys, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Cece, for joining us.
No problem.
So, I'm going to add her information on right now so you guys could access her on IG as well. So CC My Trainer on Instagram. And us, we are at the Elephant Room TV. So it's all together. So at the Elephant Room TV on Instagram. And myself, I am at Mike_Truth. So that's Mike spelled MIC_TRUTH. And my co-host, who's usually here with me, her name is Miss Ellie Wade.
Right here, Ellie Wade.
Yes. So her.
Cece.
Yes, that's Cece right there.
Wow, beautiful.
Cece, you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much.
And my colleague, Miss Ellie Wade, is at LA Wade on this is LA Wade on Instagram. So Kente, did you want to add your information? Thank you so much, my brother, for coming through. Like, I really, really appreciate your assistance. Did you want to plug in your information before we shut it down?
No, shout out. Easy. You can follow me at Kente Ferguson at Gmail. I don't even know what I'm talking about. At Instagram. And you can go to indyradio.org. That's indyrradio.org. And I want to thank everybody for stopping through. And Tracy and Shannon did an amazing job, and as always. So
we all looking at her IG.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm like, wow, I'm sorry. I kind of stuttered for a minute, but yeah, tomorrow we're gonna throw it down as well. So thanks for having me.
Yes,
it's gonna be a good conversation, real good conversation.
Well, thank you guys so much. Kente, take us out.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.